What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Overwhelmed Gamer Podcast, where each episode we dive into a gaming topic, share what's currently gripping our controllers, jump into the fascinating realm of homebrew games, and we round it out with our takes of the week, usually while sipping on a cocktail or two. This week, Keg and I will be talking about the resurgence of retro video games. In our homebrew overview, we're looking at Skate Cats. So kick back, grab your vice of choice. Let's go.
Welcome, gamers and tipsy adventurers, to the Overwhelmed Gamer Podcast, where we unravel the mysteries of our game backlog, sip on some questionable drinks, and dive headfirst into the nostalgic world of classics and the mind-bending realm of homebrews.
A quick bit of housekeeping before we get started real quick. Not much here, honestly, except check out my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Doing lots of fun stuff there. I'm having a blast with it too, by the way. It is like so much fun. It was something I had always wanted to try, but never got into it, and now I'm into it. So I post 2 long-form videos and 3 shorts per week, probably like 5 shorts per week because I'll be doing some of my streaming stuff. So yeah, check that out. Podcast schedule is staying pretty consistent. We did miss a episode this month since 4th of July and everything, so you're only getting one this month. Check me out on Twitch or YouTube, streaming live every Tuesday and Thursday nights for sure. Sometimes I throw in the occasional pop-up stream, and I stream everywhere. It goes across Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, X, whatever. Check me out wherever you'd like, but my focus for streaming is pretty much on YouTube and Twitch. So yeah. All right, enough about that. Now it's time to get into a little segment I like to call What's Gripping Our Controllers. So if you're new to the podcast, we take this time to discuss what we've been up to since we last spoke, like game pickups, all that kind of fun stuff, what we're playing. So Keg, what's going on, man? I feel like it's been a while since we've done it. And it hasn't been that long, but for whatever reason, it feels like it's been forever.
Yes, I've been playing Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah, I can fucking hear it.
Yeah, I can't turn it off.
You know we're recording a podcast right now, right?
Yeah, no shit. That dumbass. That all of a sudden became really loud. Okay. Wow.
You're an
Yeah.
idiot.
Well, that happens. But yeah, no, it's so, this very interesting game, dude. It's a lot like, I don't know, man. It's like a lot of different games. It's like Skyrim. It's like Dragon Age. It's like.
Is it first person? I know nothing about it.
No, it's not a first person. It's not first person.
But Skyrim, it's not first person.
Well, because Skyrim was not necessarily first person. Although I played most of that game first person. But but it's in the same way that, weight is a deal. Weight is a big deal. If you're holding on too much,
then it
slows you
so
down.
It's an RPG, right?
Yeah, by all means. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know nothing about it. I've heard really good things about it. Everybody's talked highly about it from what I've seen. But yeah, and this is a sequel, right? Is it?
Even though I've never played the first one. But
okay, yeah, I was going to say I've never.
I think the first one came around like a long time ago. Yeah, and I think at one point, I think they tried to make this an online game or something. Because the way it's set up and everything, you could just tell. There's a lot of different online, like you could just tell, where they were trying this or they were trying that.
I feel like they've tried to make an online game out of freaking every game at some point. Now it's like every game that becomes successful, they're like, Skyrim was great. We'll make Skyrim online. This game was good. We're going to make this game online. Final Fantasy would be an example of that.
It's kind of interesting in the way that they set it up. Like you could set what you have is pawns. They're pawns.
Okay.
And so you just build up your pawns, and you could actually go out there and set up where, like, you could actually put online, hey, you could hire this pawn for this. And you could hire them for gold, or you could hire them for items or whatever, and then if somebody else hires them, then you get that. So if you're looking at, if you're looking for like certain item to help you upgrade your newest weapon, then you can make, you could put your pawn out there to, but you place the price of it for that item. And if somebody else hires that pawn, then then you get it.
Okay.
It's kind of cool, actually. It really is kind of neat.
I mean, people like it for a reason, right?
Yeah. I you know what? I don't really know about this community. I just started this game, so I really don't know about this community, but it's really kind of neat how it's set up. It's different. It's very, very different.
How much playtime do you have into it so far?
I'd probably no more than, I don't know, a couple hours.
Okay.
Probably
So you're super new to it. So now, then you finished. What was the game that you were playing before this? I forgot. You
didn't? Yeah, it was
Chronicles.
Hunter Hero Chronicles. Yep.
Yeah. And how did that turn out? Did you like that one all the way through?
Well, you know what? In order to get the ultimate ending of that game, you just had to get every character. I missed about 10.
Okay.
Because there was 120 characters in that game.
Dude, that's not like you, though. You're usually I'm going to play it till I get freaking everything, and you were just kind of done with it?
Some of it, well, you know what? Because a lot of it was, you had to do the boat racing or the chicken racing or whatever. A lot of it was all mini-game stuff, or the tops, the spin tops game or whatever, or the card game or... Well, even though I did the card game, I'm going to get into that too. And go ahead. Sorry. I'm going to get into a little bit of that with Final Fantasy and my burnout with that. I don't remember if I talked about that on the podcast. But sorry, go ahead. Anyway. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just, the mini games kind of, it was a lot of the mini game stuff. And I don't know. I went more onto the story. So.
Gotcha.
And the minigame stuff was great. Don't get me wrong; it was just like any other game,
So give me a rating. Like, let's say, well, how do you want to do it? 1 out of 10. Like, what would you give that game?
Ayuden, 100 Heroes. I'd give that. I'd probably give that about a 6 or a 7.
Okay. Oh, so like a C kind of. It was worth playing, but not your favorite.
Yeah, C plus, maybe B minus. You know what? No, because, before that game, I was playing Unicorn Overload, which was a dumbass name. It really was. But
a dumbass game or name?
Name.
You love the game, right?
I love the game. The game was absolutely awesome. Dude, that game was that game. If I had to put that on, was probably about an 8.
Okay.
Or 9,
higher than this
one.
What
I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So, but again, if I'm into a game, I'm into a game, and
sure,
I play it. Just like I'm in this one. Holy crap, this game is Dragon Age 2, or this is not Dragon Age.
Dude, you got Dragon Age on the brain.
Yeah, because that's coming out November 19th, and I've already looked it up. And
this year?
Can't wait to it. Yep.
Now, did you say there was a demo, or no?
Yeah. No, well, there's not a demo, but there's
just like trailers and shit out for it.
Trailers, yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, and Bianca gets blown up, dude. Bianca is like a crossbow, which was like a main. It was like a main thing in the other games.
I haven't played it, dude. That's another one in my backlog. That I would specifically remember seeing it and being like, dude, that looks badass. With when it first started coming out, the first one, but it was like at a time where I just wasn't, my 25-year.
And again, I think we talked about this too, but the one thing of this one is very good. Dragon's Dogma is so far really good. It's like a cross between. Well, I read an article where they kind of compared it to like Elden Ring, because it only came out like last March, or just in March, at the end of March, and they kind of was like comparing it to Elden Ring. Nah, this game's way better than Elden Ring. Elden Ring was too frustrating. Way
I
too
don't know.
frustrating.
Well, I'll get to that in a second, but
Dark Souls games are frustrating as hell.
the anything else you got? Otherwise, I'll give mine.
No. But, well,
Right.
obviously, I think I
So,
gave a pretty good one.
yeah, no, I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying with the mini games in that Eiyuden Chronicles. Dude, I kind of got a little burnt out of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth just because of that. Not that I still was super enjoying the game, don't get me wrong. But I felt like every time I booted up the game, I was stuck in some kind of like card game or some mini game, and I wasn't progressing the story at a rate
Chocobo racing or something.
Yeah, and I wasn't progressing in the story to the point where I was like, I got a little burnt out, and I'll for sure go back to it. That'll be a nice game to go back to, like over Christmas break or whatever, when I can't go outside and do a bunch of yard work and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, you and I
man,
talked about this before, dude. There's a balance in certain games. You know, like Final Fantasy 16, there was a great balance in that game. Like, you know, like there was not a lot of extra shit to do. You know what I mean? It was
I think there was a lot, but you didn't really have. So how do I
have to?
You didn't. Well, and I don't think you had to.
I think it did it.
Yeah, right. And I think even with Rebirth, there's so much, but they I guess they do kind of a good job in like driving you towards wanting to actually complete some of like all these side missions and play these mini games. It does suck you in. Like, I couldn't stop playing that fucking card game. I still don't know that I understand how it actually works.
Right.
But it was.
Dude, that was me. Dude, that was me in 10 with Blitzball. Yeah, I could not figure out Blitzball. I not figure it out.
I thought Blitzball was cool and
shit out. I just could not. Even though I did, but I never got Waka's ultimate weapon in that game because of that. Because that's how you get that's how you get Waka's ultimate weapon in 10 was Blitzball. But
gotcha.
I couldn't. I was not that good at it. So
yeah, so anyway, I moved on. And I'm playing Dragon Quest 11. Dude, and
wonderful.
I love that game. Like,
wonderful.
If anyone's followed along, they know that I've just not too long ago completed the original Dragon Warrior for the NES. I played through that on stream, and I had a blast doing that, but that game is a fucking grind. But, you know, it's what do you expect, right? From an old school NES RPG, you know it's going to be a grind going in. But you wanted to play like the origin of it, right? Like, yeah, like where it came from. And dude, I adore that game. I thought it was great. I think the story was pretty robust for the time, especially. But now with 11, I'm in, dude. I'm all in on Dragon Quest going forward. I can't wait to go back and play more of these, honestly, and catch up, because it's so fun, and the story's good, and the character development is great. I'm in. I don't want to spoil too much because I got stuff going on with videos and stuff that I want to talk about it, but it's great. In fact, I do have a short out there about it. So, like, if you follow me on social media, you might have seen the gushing I've done about it already. But yeah, loving that.
I've always been a Dragon Quest fan. You know, I mean, just huge. Obviously, I mean, last time we were at Midwest Gaming Classic, I needed to buy a gold slime.
Dude, I'm going to get some stuff like that next year.
Dude, I need that. A gold golem back in the old Dragon Warrior days. You know, I mean, it's the same.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was like, you know, you get 1 experience points, but you get a whole lot of gold.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the case in 1. I don't have enough experience with any of them to talk too intelligently about the series yet, but man, I tell you what, I'm digging it. I'm a fan.
Dude, the Dragon Quest series, all of them are very, very good.
No, I'm a little worried, being a physical collector and liking to have physical games, what it's going to look like to my wallet when I start getting into wanting to get some of these other ones that were, you know, on like the PlayStation 1 or even the PlayStation 2. But we'll see. I might, I'll be on the lookout for them, but it's not something I'll be like, dude, I want to actually collect it. So I don't know. We'll see. It's cool as shit though. As far as the collection goes, though, speaking of collections, my NES library is up to, I think I'm closing in on like about 90 games, 90, 95, somewhere in there. I'll have to get exact numbers when we do these podcasts so I can keep everybody up to date. But if you don't know, I am going for the complete NES set. And when I say complete NES set, I'm looking for the actual releases, the US releases and license releases. Like, I'm not looking to collect all the Bible study fucking games and all that shit, or games that weren't licensed by Nintendo to be, So yeah, and I think there's like, I don't remember the exact number. It's somewhere around 670. So, and I'm about 90 right now, so I have a ways to go. But I'll kind of spoil it, so you get a little peek behind the YouTube if you're listening to the podcast. I just bought like 4 games from DK Oldies. If you watch any kind of retro gaming content on YouTube or anywhere, you know how DK Oldies is. They're expensive and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then I ordered a bunch of games from GameStop, which if you follow me on YouTube, you've seen all that already. The point of that was I'm going to do a video that compares the quality of the games I get from DK Oldies versus GameStop. That was the whole point of me making the purchases, or even finding those buy 2 get 1 free games at GameStop. So I got like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 games coming from that whole buy that that I'll be going through and showing. Like, I'm curious, like, how good the quality is on these old NES cards coming from either company. I thought it'd be a fun, like, video to put together. But so anyway, yeah, that's my pickups. I can't even tell you which games at this point because I'm going a little mental. I probably should slow down. But yeah, so got plenty of NES stuff going on. As far as throughs, I got through Skate Cat, which we'll be talking about later on, and I just finished up Ninja Gaiden 2 for the NES on stream. That game I really liked it. It was Nintendo hard, just like you're used to. It's a Ninja Gaiden game. Gaiden. How the fuck do you pronounce that? I don't know what the actual right way.
Gaiden. Yeah.
We
used to say it's different. Yeah, but yeah.
Ninja Goddamn is what I think we used to call it.
Which is not a good thing. Yeah.
That's what you say while you're playing the game.
No,
I don't know that it was as hard as the first one, to be honest, but it's been, I finished the first one when I was fucking 12 years old or something.
It was back when, and again, it was a game that had a pattern. Dude,
well, and this one does. This one is the same thing. It has a pattern, but I felt like I kind of stumbled my way through it. I didn't have to get as good as I had to get with the first one to finish it. But it was. Yeah. I felt like I could. How do I want to put it? Yeah, I don't think it was quite as hard, but it was fucking hard. There was definitely places in that game where I was just getting frustrated and wanted to take my controller and throw it across the goddamn room.
Yep. You just had to hit the right spot at the right time and whatever.
But still,
I actually did watch you play that.
Yeah, it was a great game. Yeah, and that's it. I think next on my list is going to be, I think Panzer. No, I got 2 homebrew games that I need to play. One I want to play Jane Austen because I just did an interview with the creator of that last podcast. I think that's it for what's gripping our controllers. And right now I'm going to refresh my drink. And Keg, I think you can refresh yours too, because we got a super cool topic and I'm excited to get into it. So yeah, see you in a second. All right, our drinks are refreshed and we're talking about now. Keg, you came up with this topic and it sounds super interesting. We could take it in a number of different ways, but we're talking about the resurgence in retro gaming. And I feel like there's a bunch of different paths of this resurgent. You have things like the homebrew community, obviously something that I'm super passionate about. And then you have regular large companies like a Square or, indie companies making games in the style of a, retro game. Sea of Stars comes to mind. Was one of the best games of last year. It was just a freaking amazing RPG, but it was done in like a 16-bit art style. All these 2D HD games that are coming out. In fact, Square Enix just announced that they're redoing Dragon Warrior 3 and giving it the 2D HD overhaul. And also they're doing 1 and 2 in that 2D HD stick, I guess, for the lack of me being dumb. So give me, what do you think, Keg? You're the one that kind of came up with this. I want to hear like your take on why do you think the resurgence and your thoughts on it as a whole.
Well, actually, I think it's really simple. It's us that were playing these games back then. Playing these games back then. That we were just like, no. And again, like we look at games now, dude. I'm telling you, I can look at games now that are a little bit Call of Duty and all these other games. I can't play. Just for some odd reason, I feel like if I play them, I'm gonna get epilepsy. But when it comes down to these earlier games like that, dude, I believe it's targeted to my age range, maybe your age range. That. Yeah. And again, there's like 4 years between you and I, but I believe that it's targeted to us. It's targeted to the people that played the games then. That were, now that we're going to introduce them to the newer generation. Well, and again, You got kids, I got kids, and hell, my kid is probably better known for games than I am. I really do. I really think that it's just kind of like a nostalgia thing. To a certain extent, for lack of a better term, I guess. But it's just, but with the twist. Again, you said Sea of Stars. Boy, there's a lot of twists in that game. Stuff that was not out on games that were like that 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit deeper with my thoughts on it. I think what's nice about doing this stuff in like an 8-bit, 16-bit art style, and I'm going to be talking directly to like a game of like Sea of Stars or the 2D HD games like Octopath Traveler, things like that. You can put more energy into your actual game, making it as big as you want, putting in basically any type of
when I was playing
fighting thing.
I was playing Octopath Traveler, dude, the only thing that I can think of is they had a great story and they filled in around it. That's what they did. Yeah, they started with a great story.
When you're talking about, modern consoles, even, throw the Switch in there too. I understand that it's behind like your Xbox Series everything or the PlayStation 5, but if you make a game that has 16-bit graphics, you can make anything you want and make it as vast as you want because you're not spending all your memory on the big AAA graphics. So you can really be creative with it and, not be so cookie cutter. I feel like some of these AAA titles that are coming out now are kind of rinse and repeat, the same kind of thing. You're the hero character and it's, third person and you run through and you fight everybody and it looks fantastic and you're all about it. And then you fight a boss somewhere and then you go on and then you win the game. And it's very cookie cutter. It's like very formulaic. They all look amazing and the stories might be absolutely phenomenal.
Holy crap, dude, you just messed everything up right there. That is like, that's the point of every game. You got a beginning and an end, and what's in between is the fun part. You just messed that all up, dude. You're just
Well, I didn't mess anything up. You messed
Well,
it up.
no, I mean, you just made it sound like it was just the worst thing ever.
No. I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever because there's plenty of the games that I love because the just like Hogwarts Legacy comes to mind. I love that game. I thought that game was great. The story was great. All the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order games, I thought they were good games. I played them and enjoyed them, but they were all kind of the same game. They were very, again, formulaic, where you just kind of you go through. Maybe the battle systems are a little bit different or whatever, but it's pretty much the same formula over and over again. It's just you get a good story, and if you're into Star Wars or you're into Harry Potter, that's what you like. Or even some unique IPs that are on PlayStation, like The Last of Us or something like that. It's great, and again,
this is where you and I disagree. That is a perfect formula. That is the perfect formula for every game, dude.
Oh no,
dude,
I'm not saying it's not a good formula. Obviously, everybody keeps doing it.
I mean, I understand when you say like cookie cutter. But Last of Us was kind of. Last of Us was like a good one, but there's been a lot of them that came out that look like The Last of Us, and just sucked. Yeah, and I get it, and I played most of them, but but there's it's just a matter of what you like in certain games. It's how do I say this? Like back in the day, dude, we just liked that where they pulled your heartstring. Just the storyline was so bombastic.
For sure.
It was like it was just like that storyline was just like it was better than reading a good book.
Yeah, I get it. No, the storyline drives a ton, but I guess the point that I was trying to get across was, by going backward. Well, the other piece of it too is right. So, like an indie developer. Let's just say, and I'm not even talking about the homebrew scene at this time. I'm just saying, to compare against like a modern game, an indie studio, they might not have the budget to do these big graphic games like a Last of Us or Elden Ring or whatever. The budget's just not there to hire all the artists that are needed to do all these big graphics. But what's great is you can still do like a 16-bit art style or a cel-shaded art style or whatever, and make a absolute gem of a game without needing to put all your efforts just into the graphics. So I think that's another reason why you're seeing a lot of the resurgence and I guess quote unquote retro looking games is you don't need to always have the big 3D graphics and everything else to make a absolutely fantastic big open world game any longer. If that makes sense. Did that make sense? It made sense to me. What I was saying.
You know what? It does make sense, but it doesn't hurt. And again, I'm playing this. Yeah, I'm playing the newer ones.
Yeah.
And again, you're taking. I've always been a big fan of storylines. If you have a good storyline, you can make the most epic game ever.
Dude, you can make a text-driven game, and if the story hooks you, it hooks you, right?
Yeah, exactly, dude. And I've always been about that, and I believe that's why we see a resurgence of this now, because there's a lot of great storylines out there.
And I love it's almost going kind of pivoting here and looking at like the homebrew scene of this. I love the way that a lot of these people are really challenging the hardware. Like making a good game on old hardware is like an art form in itself. Okay, I'm going to try.
Limits. Yeah, you're pushing the limits.
Not even pushing the limits of the hardware, because no matter what, you're still going to play within those limits. But to be able to create something within the limitation of, let's say, the NES, which is probably my favorite genre of all time, or console generation, or whatever. it's really, really cool to see what these people come up with. For, there's these big games that are coming out. Like the one that comes to mind the most is shit. Now why can't I think of it? I gotta look at it. Oh, Dungeons and Doom Nights. That was the first game that I had actually ever streamed. And it's been a few months since I played it. But that game, like if that would have came out during the NES era, it would have been a top 5 favorite game of mine. Hands down. It was a phenomenal game. And it's just nice to see people playing within that realm again, and not only playing in it, but making incredible games worth playing.
And knowing that you have parameters that you can only do it within this and this, it's
trying to manipulate and figure out what you can actually do with those parameters, and to see that come alive is amazing. There's a new game coming out. I don't know where they are in development, and shit, I wish I would have. We're just kind of chatting here, so I didn't really look up the much. Fuck, I'll put it in the show notes maybe. But what they're doing with the NES game that they're making right now is incredible. The animation and the graphics are so detailed, and still working within the limitations again of the the 8-bit palette that you can have for an NES games. It's amazing, and I'm curious to see how big of a game this can actually be, because I have to imagine that these graphics are taking up a shit ton of room.
Can you believe that, dude?
It's so cool.
Here we are so many years later just talking about, what? They never expanded the boundaries of what they could do then.
Oh, yeah. Well, it happens every console span too, right? You always, if you see a game at the end of the life of a console compared to the beginning of its life, developers figure out how to really push it to be like, okay, oh shit, we figured out this, we can do these 3 things to give us more memory to be able to add in X or whatever, right? It happens in every generation. But yeah, it's just so interesting to see how and cool that people are making games still today that run on the old hardware. It's this topic is so easy to
again, dude. No, to be honest with you, dude, the way that when you and I talked about this topic the other night, it was it's us. It was us playing back then, and then now we're just having a nostalgia kind of feeling. And it was just like, sometimes there's just more. How do you say that, dude? There's just more. More satisfaction from playing a good game with a good story versus a game with good graphics. You know what I mean? It's just like.
I wouldn't even say good. I would just say modern. You know what I mean? Like, because
these games, but some of these games, again, and again, we did a whole podcast about Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars was one of those games that was just like, holy crap, or Octopath Traveler. It was just like, oh man, this actually is starting to sell. I don't think they thought that.
Well, I think it's hitting more than just the.
I think it's hitting our age group.
Yeah. Well, I think it is hitting our age group, but they can't. No, it's kind of nice that if they are hitting our age group, right, as far as being able to sell copies of their game, but it's got to be hitting more than just us. And in fact, I know it is because even like the YouTube community, you see people that are much younger than you and me that are super into games like Sea of Stars and all these other, or Octopath Traveler, things like that, because they're good games, and the art style can get, I would say, like, I get it. Like if you look at an 8-bit game and you're like, okay, that's like a little bit too retro or too whatever for me, I guess I can kind of understand that. But once you get like that one step up into like the 16-bit graphics, dude, you can do so much stuff with 16-bit. It's incredible. So you can really
So is that
sky's
the
the limit
next?
right there.
Well, okay. So the retro stuff that
16-bit
we're
would be
doing
like
with,
Super Nintendo.
yeah. So the retro stuff that we've been playing is like 8-bit.
Yeah,
There's going to be
I've
like
been playing
now
more
they're
Nintendo.
gonna push the Super Nintendo to its limit. Or now they're
Oh,
gonna.
there's already people that do that. There's Super Nintendo homebrew stuff. Not as much as like the 8-bit stuff, but there is some super. There's a lot of Sega Genesis. In fact, the latest had, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. In fact, let me make a note of that real quick.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
So Sega Genesis.
Yeah, so that's made Matt. I can't remember his last name, but he does the homebrew showcase, summer showcase, and he had like 100 games or so that are coming out, and heavy Sega Genesis representation at this event. So it was super
Genesis
cool.
was a decent system too, actually. To be honest with you, it really was a decent
great,
system.
yeah, for sure. So that's getting a lot of love right now from the homebrew community, more so than like the Super Nintendo, which I'm not sure the reason behind. I don't know if it's just this. I don't know. I don't know the reason behind it, but I'm super. I got a couple that are on the way that I'm excited for. So yeah, I think it's great. The retro resurgence. Obviously, I built a whole YouTube channel and a whole podcast and a whole everything around it because that's what I'm into.
Yeah, but
I'm old.
Yeah.
So
and that's exactly it, dude. I always recognize stuff that you do. Again, if I find a great story in an old ass game, I don't care, dude. I really don't care. It's a great story. It was well written and well done. I mean, in the parameters that it was intended. No, hell no. I never have. Dude, that's why we played games like Dragon Warrior, or Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy, the dungeon crawler.
You keep saying it's a dungeon crawler. I don't think it's a dungeon crawler.
Yeah, that was a dungeon crawler.
No, it is not.
There's an
overworld and towns to go to and everything.
Maybe, but it was still that 3D. It was first person.
No, it was not. You are not even... It was. Dude, I just played it. It is not. You need to go look up something.
The original Final Fantasy was not a dungeon crawl? Okay.
No, not at all. You got to pick your party. So you could pick like the red mage, the black mage, the whatever.
Blue mage and the red mage.
The battle system was just like what we're used to. It was that side-by-side fighting system where they came, they had like two little segments. So you had the monsters on one side, your characters on the other side, and they'd come out and swing their sword and do damage to the monsters.
It's still turn-based. Yeah.
There's no first person about it. But there's nothing first person about that game. Nothing. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking about.
Yep. Well, I'm going to have to look that up.
How did you forget that? What are you... I don't know what the hell you're thinking about. You're thinking about something. And it's...
No, it wasn't... I'm telling you. I thought the original first Final Fantasy was a dungeon crawler.
Have another fucking drink. No, it's not at all.
No, I remember playing it at the freaking
Oh, the Nintendo
Championship, yeah. No. Because that's where they broadcast it before, or that's where they advertised it before it came out. And
so you're definitely thinking about a different game. I just don't know what game you're thinking about. But I'd be interested to figure that out. All right, are we done with this topic? We need to get on to talking about some Skate Cat. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cue up a little music, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about my playthrough of Skate Cat. See you in a second. Before I get into what I thought about SkateCat, I want everybody to keep in mind that the lead designer on SkateCat was a 10-year-old kid, which I found to be incredibly cool. This started out as an NES Homebrew game, but has recently got releases on the Switch, and I believe it's on Steam now as well. SkateCat is your basic NES platformer, but what it does really well is the physics of the skateboard. It really gives you the feel that you're on wheels the entire game. You don't come to a complete stop, but as you master the controls, you'll be able to learn how to jump in place so you can stop quicker than just rolling through the screen like you're on ice. The graphics are decent, and again, keeping in mind that they were created by a 10-year-old, there's a lot of other games out there that have worse graphics that were not created by 10 years old, but it definitely gets the point across. Everything feels right, looks right. You know where to jump, what you can jump on, what you can't jump on, things like that. So they get the point across just fine. It's not a very long game. It has about 4 levels, if I'm remembering right. The bosses are really well done. They're not too easy, but they're not super difficult as well once you have them figured out. I will say the end boss, though, was probably the most difficult, which it should be because it's the end boss, right? I would say from start to finish, you can probably finish this one in like 15 to 20 minutes. But what it comes down to is SkateCat worth checking out and picking up? I would say absolutely yes. If there's one thing that SkateCat is, to me, it is just pure fun. I thoroughly enjoyed playing this game, and what I enjoyed most of all was just trying to get better at each time I restarted the game because I died or whatever. It was so much fun to try and remember the levels, to get through the levels faster than you did the first time, trying not to get hit again. I really honestly had a blast with this game. Again, there's not a ton to it. It's pretty simple in nature, but none of that really mattered. It was just so much fun. I'll definitely be playing it more just to see if I can do better than I did my previous playthrough. It's one of those games that you can easily just pick up and play for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and be done. I'm giving SkateCat a B. It's a fun little game. It's definitely worth playing on whatever system you choose to pick it up on. It takes about 15, 20 minutes to get through, but it will keep bringing you back to play it more and just have more fun with it. Yeah, check out SkateCat. And I'll have all their show information in the show notes so you can check it out on where to get. You can get it on itch.io, Switch, Steam, all that kind of fun stuff. Great game. Highly recommend it. Check it out. And yeah, that's my review of SkateCat. And when we come back, I'm giving my last takes. We'll see you in a minute. Alright, switching it up a little bit. At the end of the show, we used to do our last takes where we just kind of gave an overall of whatever we were talking about, and it was kind of lame, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm changing it up. I'm stealing this idea from a podcast that I enjoy. And what they do at the end, shout out to Syntax for giving me the idea. They do a segment called Sick Picks, where at the end of their episodes, they just give ideas, or not ideas, but maybe things that they've picked up that they just want to plug that they think is cool. And I want to kind of implement that here. We'll have to come up with a clever name for it. But these things can be game related or not game related, just whatever we feel like talking about at the end of the show. And for the lack of a better segment term, I'm going to use Sick Pick. And my Sick Pick this week is Mini Box Gaming. These things are so sick. For those that have been following along, you know that I'm going for the complete US NES collection. And these are a perfect way to store your games. What they do is they make basically an exact replica of the old NES box, not just NES boxes, but they have boxes from all kinds of different consoles and games. But again, NES, that was what I'm looking at, and they make a replica of the box, but it's mini. It's barely the size, just big enough to hold an NES cartridge. So it's nice and slim, and the coolest piece of it is the box is already wrapped in a plastic protector sleeve. So, man, it is so good looking, and the artwork on it is beautiful, and it's just not only a great way to protect your loose cartridges, which is what I'm looking to buy because I'm not trying to buy complete in box NES games at this point. So, but man, it looks so sick on the shelf, and it's just, I'm going to end up buying these for every game. I started out with just 5. I got like Dragon Warrior, Final Fantasy, Metal Gear. I forget the other 2, but I'm ordering like 5 a month. So, and they're pretty inexpensive too. Again, I'll have all their information in the show notes. And that wraps everything up for this episode. Be sure to follow me on YouTube. Check me out if you want to follow me on social media. The best place to get me at is probably X or Twitter, whatever. That's kind of where I am myself, most likely. I post my other stuff, like all my media, like, my content, I guess, on like Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok. But for me just hanging out and being me, I'm over on X, and I'm at Overwhelmed Game there. I don't know. It's a whole thing. I think I own Overwhelmed Gamer without the E, but I goofed it up, and I don't know. I have to figure out how to fix that. Who cares? Doesn't matter. So yeah, follow me on YouTube. Check me out on X. Make sure to jump in my streams every Tuesday and Thursday evenings, both on YouTube and Twitch. Is that it? That's it. Enough plugging. Whatever. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Late.